Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EVMC podcast. Join us for this all-access pass backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live event industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to incredible guests who journey with us as we dive deep into the world of venues, tours, festivals, and everything in between. Grab your laminate and meet us in Venueland.
So, what makes producing events in Hawaii different from anywhere else on the planet? Today's adventure takes us to the Aloha State for a conversation with somebody whose career has touched nearly every corner of the live events business. Our guest is the president at Aloha Group International, Inc. She's a respected event industry leader who has helped shape Hawaii's live events industry. Please welcome Barb Saito. Barb, how you doing?
Aloha, everybody. I'm awake. Yay.
Yay. Little time difference. We appreciate you accommodating us. And let's just jump right into it. For somebody who's never heard of Aloha Group International, what exactly is the company and what do you guys do?
Well, live events are at the core of everything that I'm involved in. I started working with Hawaii's top concert promoter back in the 80s, 1980, 81, somewhere in there.
Tom Moffat, right?
Tom Moffat, yes. So I kind of grew up on this entire industry. So I started from, doing displays in record stores for concerts that were coming up to helping produce concerts, write liner notes and all that. And I guess I was lucky to work with Tom because we were doing nearly every top-notch entertainer from around the world. So when Tom passed, my company started doing a different kind of concert promotion. It was more like a fan club flyaway sort of thing for Asian artists that wanted to perform in America. Sure. And while I'll still do regular concerts. Like I work quite extensively with AEG when they're doing events down here. And, just kind of bridging that international music scene that seems to flow through Hawaii well.
That sounds super fascinating. I'm sure something that probably we're all curious about. I'm curious, but it's got to be interesting being in Hawaii because to your point, you are positioned in this situation where you're probably getting a lot of artists from the States. You're also probably getting a lot of artists from Asia. And it is kind of uniquely in this kind of middle ground where you probably see this influence of cultures from both of those areas and interest in artists from both of those areas. What's that kind of been like, with, through the lens of your company, but kind of promoting different artists from both areas and probably seeing people trying to break in from both markets?
Well, travel is always an interesting thing when it comes to Hawaii because no matter what tour an artist is coming up, whether they're, an internationally known Elton John type performer or someone from Japan that the U.S. might not yet know as well as they could, it's always travel and visas and how do we get equipment there? How long do we stay? Do we give the kids a vacation for a couple of days to get there? And that allure draws a lot of people to want to perform here. And for Asian artists, it's mostly that they would like to do something in the United States. And so I've been doing Asian artists as part of Tom's crew and as part of my company long before we had large Asian populations in LA or Las Vegas or the East Coast. So it's been interesting to watch the revolution of the music go worldwide from Asia, but also Hawaii is a huge, huge music consumer as a state. We love our music, everything from Journey to Elton to The Who, Rolling Stones, Billy Joel, you name it, we get it all. Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, all of that stuff. So we love music here and we have our own music industry. So we're always kind of looking to coordinate between what the world wants and our local talent to sort of bridge live events for them so that they get a flavor of us and we get all of their fantastic music.
Let's talk about logistics because, it's a whole different set of logistics when you're talking about Hawaii, and obviously, it's not something where you're probably on routing. You're not going from Indianapolis to Pittsburgh and finding that perfect stop in Columbus, right? So how are you getting on routing, or is it mostly one-off special events, and are artists flying over all their stage and stuff, or are they looking for things to be housed, there regionally?
Well, back when we used to have a stadium, it would be a very good stadium stop for, like an Eminem or like a Michael Jackson on their way back from Asia or on their way to Australia and New Zealand. So we would kind of tie into the international market more than the national market when it came to which artists were available to stop here. And of course, Hawaii is a very expensive state. Everybody knows our gas is up at $6.50 for premium. It costs a lot to stop here. And so if we can make the money work, or that extra couple of days of vacation at a really nice beach hotel, then we have a chance of having an artist stop here. A lot of times we miss out simply because we can't make the finances work. We no longer have a stadium right now. We're waiting for a new one to be built. But we have a couple of arenas, a convention center, a concert hall, and an exhibition hall. And, for the amount of people in Hawaii, that's not a lot of venues. We're up at almost 1 million on Oahu. And yet it seems to be enough for most of the bigger artists coming through. But we do share it with weddings and graduations and other things like that. So timing is everything. We have to work almost a year and a half out in order to book the right dates for upcoming tours.
Do you try to get artists to do multiple dates while they're there? To your point, like, is it more attractive? I'm sure it's case by case, but like, are you having people come in and they're playing on different islands or playing maybe a couple of the theaters or a few theaters versus doing like a one date on the way to somewhere else? Does that kind of help sell it?
It sort of depends on the number of days they have available to them.
Yeah.
An artist who can do all islands is relatively rare, simply because the money just isn't there to fund an outer island show. There are wonderful venues, outdoor venues, especially on the outer islands. Maui has the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. We've done, Jimmy Buffett dates there together, Elton John dates, Chicago, you go on in that vein. And they have a lovely outdoor stadium that belongs to one of the schools there, the Maui War Memorial, which is a big stadium style for us. And they factor in if there's enough time and if the money works out, because, everything comes down to the budget, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Barb, so as you're educating us on this, where did the people that are coming to the concerts come from? How many, when you do a show, your average show, are most people locals versus tourists versus, are people coming in from other islands? What do you see? So and when you're marketing, how does it seems like a lot to wrap your arms around.
It is. I mean, we're a bunch of islands, so that's a very interesting concept for ticket sellers to wrap their heads around. Each of us have our own event spaces, but not everybody wants to travel, for instance, to the Big Island and do either Hilo or Kona. So those people will fly to us. But the majority of folks who come to see a concert that's based on Oahu, which is where Honolulu is, they will fly in from the outer islands, but it is not a large segment. Most of those people live here. And folks that fly in from out of state, we pretty much get a reading of about, 2% or less that will come in.
Okay.
Because it's expensive for the fan as well. And these days, ticket prices can be so through the roof that once you factor in feeding yourself, the road travel, renting a car or doing the Lyft thing, hotel prices and whatnot, it can become a little prohibitive. But
Sure.
back in the day, we used to get a lot of traveling fans. Like the Stones brought in 1,000 fans at the stadium from all over the world. And that's an extreme case. Usually, if I have a 8,000 seat venue, the arena, the Blaisdell Arena, when we're there, we're looking at about 200 or 300 fans flying in from around the world. But they do represent.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's like the biggest fans, right? They're the ones that are like, I will go to Hawaii. I'll do a trip around
Yeah.
this. Like, I mean, I'm sure the fans that do come in for it are like probably the ones, or some, maybe not the biggest is the right way to describe it, but certainly the most wealthy of the fans.
It's not wealth necessarily. I think that people find Hawaii still to this day an attractive vacation destination.
Sure. Absolutely.
You can't argue that Hawaii is our best selling point. Beaches, volcanoes,
Yeah.
surf, you know. So even for an artist to stop here, that's a big factor for them. They love that we kick back here so much. I
Yeah,
keep telling
sure.
people we are so laid back we fall off the wall. And for artists, artists can walk in to a shopping center and people might gawk at them, but they'll never approach them. I mean, we have a
Right.
respect for that going back to when Elvis used to be here filming all of his movies. We're kind of reserved when we see them face to face. And I think they like that anonymity that we afford
Yeah.
them as just our culture. But also for fans, like you said, if they get to build a couple of beach days around this, oh my God, come in for a show. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Are you seeing artists because of all the allure around having such a beautiful place to play? Are you seeing artists do like underplays there where they're normally maybe playing larger venues and they're like, I want to play Hawaii and because I want to maybe go hang out on the beach for a week or take my family with me, or, I could see that being kind of an
Yeah.
attractive thing where you're going to pull an artist that maybe is playing a larger venue elsewhere, but like this is Hawaii. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's its own thing. It's like people playing Red Rocks when they can play way more seats elsewhere, but it's Red Rocks. Like they want to play in Red Rocks.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting too, the dichotomy between Asian artists and everybody else. Asian artists will fill stadiums with 50,000 fans a night for a weekend. They
Wow.
have an amazing, amazing live event industry of their own. When they come here, they only want to play the Waikiki Shell, where I can only seat 7,000 people.
Oh,
And they'll only
interesting.
do it for one night, but they'll film it. They'll bring in
Okay.
5,000 of those 7,000 fans. They'll fly them in, do the concert, do a couple of special days with them, and fly
Wow.
back out again. Everybody else wants to play the arena. And for the most part, they don't come necessarily because they want the beach. What they want is the ability to play enough so that they can afford to go to Maui, play in the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, then take a couple of days off there because they're far more relaxed than the capital city is.
Sure.
So I see this pattern repeat time and time again, and it's been that way forever. So I'm hoping it never stops because it benefits the outer islands as much as it would benefit a company like mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned the company, so let's talk about this a little bit. Aloha Group International. What is it that I know we got the big overview, right? But what is it you guys do on a day-to-day basis when working to in the phase of getting the just explain it to me, right? I'm even struggling with the question. So from your role in the process, I guess.
Right. You're working with a promoter, for instance, maybe that's going to bring an artist there. Are
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
These days, I do much more consulting on the financial and logistical side than I do actually promoting a concert. The reason being that the economy is such that we don't have a lot of tours coming through here. But because of my longevity in the industry, going back to the days when artists split profits 50-50 with promoters, which is absolutely unfair.
Yeah.
Uh, I have amazing, amazing contacts locally that help to keep costs low and afford them logistics that make sense for them once they're on the ground here. So everything always starts with my helping with the budget. And that requires some guesswork a lot of times because artists still don't have their rider together. And much of what they might tour on the mainland with in trucks may not be available locally.
Yeah.
So our suppliers here are phenomenal at customizing builds. For everything other than a stage, most artists will ship staging in because you just can't replicate that at the right price.
Sure.
And
Interesting.
that's why they have 15 trucks on the mainland. But here, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So these people need to be coordinated, and there's always updating about, well, can we add these lights? Can we take away these gobos? Can we put these Sharpies in instead? And those people that perform that service here are the best in the world, in my opinion. We have West Coast lighting designer that I will not work with anybody else but him, because not only is he phenomenal at redesigning lighting fixtures, but he also knows how to keep things economical in the long run of a show. Same thing with sound people, same thing with augmented stage people down here. You can't be a promoter here and not appreciate all the folks that are not on the podcast today.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Make someone like me look good.
Yeah. And as you said, it comes down to those costs more there than anywhere, and it's like knowing that you have those reliable people who are going to, be efficient, do a really great job, but also understand where you're coming from a cost side. And they probably also understand that the cheaper that they can make it, the more shows they get, the more business comes in. It's like it kind of, hopefully, the one hand feeds the other. But I mean, I'm sure that's been a great network for you.
They're phenomenal. I have brought in major artists from Asia, and I have worked with them through all of the years with Tom, and we kind of grew up in this industry together. So I am really grateful for that loyalty and that friendship. I mean, there really is a lot of aloha inside our industry because it is small. We don't do enough shows to be LA. But costs are high. Artists are aware. They are wonderful when they talk, particularly to me, I guess, about expenses and where we could maybe do some savings because it benefits them as well. So that unique sort of parlay that we always have, I'm sure it happens in other states and situations, but for us, just the idea that they want to be here and they're willing to work for it makes a promoter like me extremely grateful.
So, obviously a lot of moving pieces and parts to keep track of. And when we introduced the added element of the Asian artists, that I don't want to say it also presents its own unique set of opportunities. Like I noticed on your website, you've got a lot of your text repeated in Japanese.
Yes.
So is that something that are you an expert there, or do you have to bring somebody in, or how does that work when you're working with the Asian artists?
Well, most of the Asian artists that come over here these days are from Japan and Korea. I am half Korean, but I don't speak a lick of that language. So when I grew up here, Japan reigned king. I mean, we have more Japanese at that time than anything. So I have picked up enough Japanese to be dangerous. My daughter, however, is fluent. So between us, we get a lot of the interpretation and writing done. But for the most part, there is usually one or two people on an Asian team that will speak English. It's not as difficult now as it used to be in the 80s. So plus nowadays we have all those apps, right? So even if I'm traveling, I'll use an app to ask a convenience store guy for something. So artists basically are looking at lights, sound, equipment is relatively similar. If you're talking about L acoustics, well, they have those in Japan and they like them there too. So
sure.
It's less of a problem getting the show together than it is getting them to understand how our laws work in the US and what we can and cannot do because they do it in Japan, and it's relatively homogenous society. They have a whole different theory about audiences, and they don't operate that way in the US. They can't. So that's the big learning curve for Asia, is less about the show itself and more about the customs and how we can meet in the middle about what they can and can't do in the US and what they need to do to engage American customers.
Are you seeing a big, as certainly we are stateside, like kind of over here, but this huge growth of K-pop and J-pop there too, like as both of those industries have just really seems like gasoline on the fire over the last 5 or 6 years, right? Like it's like is that the same in Hawaii? Are you seeing a lot more of those J-pop, K-pop artists trying to like play there and break in?
Interestingly, yes and no. A fan club tour from Asia generally is a closed event. So they don't sell tickets in Hawaii or the US. It's based primarily on that artist bringing their fans, and they come here and they do it their way.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that for new artists. But then you have someone like Arashi, which just did their final concert a month or so ago in Japan. I did their show here for 2 nights in a massive field because there were 15,000 fans. They flew in from around the world, and then we sold additional tickets in America for it. We had people come in from Peru. We had people come in from Germany, and it was a nightmare to put this thing together. I mean, it was a month in.
It's a lot, yeah.
3 weeks out, yeah. That kind of thing where we sell tickets here is much more difficult for us to do. But they are the ones that actually do the most business here, the larger artists that are established. The little fan club things are sort of, they are starting to trend into selling tickets now. One OK Rock, which is a huge deal, and many Americans are aware of them, started out working in a club called the Republic here with they're not competitors or friends of mine, but they are a competing promoter. They have a venue, and it was perfect for them to start out. And I would hope that One OK Rock will stay loyal to them and go with them as they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Yeah.
we're kind of not really angling for very much here. I mean, like I said, we're small fish in a very big ocean, and I don't even know if I answered your question. Did I answer?
You
I think you got it. No.
No, you did.
So, you guys are involved in everything. I mean, from live entertainment, corporate events, conventions, TV, film, video. What's an average week look like for Barb?
Well, right now, with Asia's economy being far more difficult to wrangle than the US side, even though we're having trouble here, Asia has been relatively quiet when it comes to Hawaii. They are looking for the larger markets, and you will see like a BTS is going to be on the continent far more than they are going to be appearing in Honolulu, unless they have time to stop over for a couple of days. The cost factors have inhibited a lot of people from coming to Honolulu, but by the same stretch, you have someone like Journey who is about to sell out 2 shows later this year, and they do phenomenally well in the market because we love our rock ballads here. We are absolutely Earth, Wind, and Fire, Chicago,
Sure.
Journey, those kind of things sell very, very well here. But we're kind of limited to that right now. It's not a good experimental economy for acts.
Sure.
So where
yeah.
I used to do a lot of work with agencies on the mainland through Tom to bring smaller acts in here and sort of break into the market. We don't see that as much these days.
Do you see local acts kind of filling some of those gaps? Like, are there artists that are kind of homegrown artists that, are starting to grow up and they're able to like play some of those venues, and kind of fill those holds? But also, I'm sure it's exciting to see them kind of grow within the Hawaii market, going from smaller venues up to larger ones.
Yeah, there are a couple of artists that I see blowing very wide, and one of the artists that we have exported mainly in the country vein, is a group called Maoli. They sold out 2 shows in 2025, and almost exactly a year later, they sold out, came very close to selling out another 2 shows at the Blaisdell Arena, which was a 360 sell. So it was 9,000 seats each
Sure.
show. Amazing technical performance, incredible vocal performance, very tight band. And as I said, more in the country vein. And they have been bringing along quite a few very talented opening acts and guest artists with them. That fills the need for live event space very much. It also sells records. I mean, we have a recording industry down here as well. So it's nice to see everybody can feed their families when we have an artist like that.
That's great.
Barb, let's take it back. Let's take it way back, 1981. You started a 35 plus year run with Tom Moffat. Tell me about those early days and how you got involved with the live event industry.
Oh gosh. Tom needed a bookkeeper, and I was looking for a job, and I had a background in entertainment and high school filled with drama. So I did a lot of stage managing for high school plays.
Nice.
So
Literal drama.
yeah, I kind of, all of us who were in drama in high school, we all kind of get the drill. But it was enough of a background that convinced them that I wasn't just there because I was starry-eyed and I wanted to hang out with the band.
Sure.
I knew a lot of entertainers already. So I was just there to perform a function. And I am very grateful forever for Tom giving me the opportunity to grow and take over various parts of the business to the point where I was vice president a couple 4 years before he passed away, and just took over running the events for him, which was a learning curve that took 35 years to get to, but I really enjoyed it.
I want you to think back that first big event that you were working and how you felt that day. And if you could go back today and whisper something to that young woman working that event, what would you tell her?
I'd tell her to get on stage and don't do the backstage stuff because that's where the money is. No.
Amen to that for all of us.
I think so. No, I really felt more comfortable behind the scenes, bossing people around than I did being on a stage with a microphone in front of a bunch of people. So when it became clear that my brain was more attuned to organization and the business side of things, that's where I threw my efforts. And that's where I was grateful that Tom gave me that opportunity. And through the years, I just continued to develop friendships with production managers, lawyers, agents. And, there's this idea that you either really love Barb or you really can't stand her. And I'm comfortable with that because it's not an easy business no matter what city you're in,
Right.
particularly in the 80s. If I presented myself at settlement and said, well, this is my show and I'm going to be dealing with this, guys used to just look at me and be like, you really are joking, aren't you? And then when I started doing production in the 90s with various people that I had in for labor, they would all look at me like I was out of my mind. But I wanted to learn. They were willing to teach, and I'm grateful for all of that. But it was not easy to be a girl back then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What were a couple of moments when you look back in those early days? Are there a couple of events that you got to work on that really stand out for you?
Well, the first ever show I ever did was a week after Tom hired me. Tony Orlando.
Tony Orlando and Don.
And well, he wasn't with Don. He was Tony
Okay,
Orlando
just Tony.
at that time. Yeah, but he is such a wonderful guy. Through the years, he and Tom had always been friendly. So when Tony came back, it was always very nice to work with him. And I always remembered that was the very first show that I did. And then the most memorable, I think, for me, looking back, is Michael Jackson. That was such an over-the-top production. He didn't have any more dates to play in the US. He was coming out of Southeast Asia when he stopped here on his history tour. And the fan craze, the marketing, you didn't have to pay a cent, and we sold out 2 stadium shows.
Jeez.
That to me was like, what you want is a fan who's really happy at a reasonable price point, sitting in a seat, adoring or worshiping an act. And the back and forth, you can't argue with that. Hawaii audiences are extremely loud, and Michael could feel that. And it was really a beautiful blessing for Hawaii to have that event. And I was quite proud to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
We talked about Tom a little bit, but for somebody who doesn't know the name Tom Moffat, what impact did he have not only on Hawaii's live event industry, but also obviously a big impact on you?
Gosh, Tom was considered the first rock and roll DJ in Hawaii. I would argue that that is correct. He started out emceeing shows for a different promoter, and then he and a bunch of DJ friends, he was one of the top DJs in the state, got together and started their own concert company. And that's kind of where things took off, where Tom, because he was so wonderful. I mean, he was affable. He was a gentleman. He was polite. He always considered somebody else's opinion about things, and he didn't have an issue with dealing with the janitor as well as the artist, right, and the management. Sure. And so people here loved him. They loved him. They adored him as a DJ. They adored him as a concert promoter. They adored him as a person. He was one of the 100 most influential people in the city of Honolulu when we took that poll back a while, when Honolulu celebrated its first 100 years. Yeah. So that love and the way he treated people was a big influence on me, because even though Hawaii has a lot of aloha for everybody, right? We are very much polite about that sort of thing. The industry itself is not.
Yeah, so it can be tough. Yeah.
We have had moments where I have just wanted to deck the lights out of somebody on a production crew. And, you know, I'm not a shrinking violet. I'm pretty vocal about what I find unacceptable on site. Yeah. And there have been a few times where I have listened to somebody say things and I have just wanted to take them out to the parking lot and beat the living daylights out of them. So you kind of have to strike that balance, because you can't do that, right? But yet you also have to make it clear that you're not the pushovers that everybody thinks you are. And it wasn't just me, or because I was a girl. Tom went through a couple of incidents like that where I absolutely thought, this is just not an industry that wants to be nice, and we have to work extra hard at it as industry people in Hawaii to manifest that aloha everybody is looking for.
Sure. Yeah.
Barb, I think one of the things that would surprise people when they are looking over your history is, while you're doing all this, you also spent a few years working on video games. Tell me about Dragon Realm.
I didn't, you know, I'm a workaholic. So when there wasn't a show coming in, I was definitely learning about computers. We're talking about not even video games so much as the rudimentary text-based games that started everything for MMORPGs way back in the day. And that was about 1992 or 3, I think, when I first got hired to work in those games. And since they were text-based and part of what I do is writing, it just sort of married really well, to the point where now, you know, none of the tech scares me, because it's all part of that stuff I started on way back when, before there were ever graphics or the equipment to be able to make a fantasy reality. And I've found out that both of them, as entertainment industries unto themselves, share very many characteristics and need the same sort of babysitting that one would expect in a concert. I need that same organizational structure in a video game as well. So it wasn't really separate to me. It was more like, working towards the future of where we are now.
That's fascinating. I love hearing about people's side quests that they take, just kind of fun little things. And it certainly, I think a lot of us, probably most of us in this industry, you kind of have to be that way, but like we are all a little bit of a workaholics, and sometimes it's like when you don't find that, when you don't bring that upon yourself in your day job, you will find a way to fill those hours elsewhere. And
Oh,
usually
yeah.
it's with fun hobbies or something, but I think we all like, or at least I try to every once in a while, take a step back and be like, how did I sign up for so many? What am I doing? But it does keep it fun, and it's fun to kind of explore other hobbies and kind of keep things fresh.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. My mother used to tell me if entertainment is where you're going to make a career, you better get a second idea about what you want to do in case you fail.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, but in the Asian thing, there is no failure. So if I were to not do well as a promoter, I would absolutely have to be doing something well on the side or instead of. And Asian parents, they're kind of there with that stick in hand. So yeah, that was my course to try to satisfy my mother, even though she didn't even know what a video game was at the time.
You also volunteer, like you do volunteer services with the Hawaii Events Coalition. Talk a little bit about that.
So during the pandemic, when things came to a grinding halt everywhere, Hawaii Events Coalition grew out of a very diverse number of people who are at the top of the industry here. And it was very sweet to me that they brought me on board from a promoter standpoint. Several of them run their own event companies from different flavors, different factors of live events. And Bob Harmon, who is the lighting director that I spoke to you about before, he kind of nudged us all into a group and said, okay, can we be an informational resource for our industry here while there is nothing going on? So we spent a good amount of time researching, pulling up articles, tying in with We Make Events,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
doing all kinds of website posting, dissecting and translating government documents and things like that. We held a rally downtown to, try to open our industry back up because we were one of the last U.S. Cities that came back on board for live events. We were shut down far longer than other cities were. So we were trying to get the ball rolling, that kind of thing. And it was a privilege to work with them and reconnect with people that are just, on the fringes of our entertainment industry that were also impacted, but came to
Yeah.
support because of their love of live events.
I'm sure it also made that community stronger for it, right? Like I'm sure you met new people and you built relationships with people that were deeper, kind of bonding through trauma, if you will. But
Trauma
that
bond.
I feel like that happened with if there was any silver lining, that happened with a lot of us in 2020. It's like
Yeah.
not that sometimes you didn't have a choice, but on the other side, it's like there's a lot of relationships and friendships and things like that are stronger than they ever were. Yeah.
Sure, and every small community, I mean, the island might have near 1 million people on it, but the industry is very small, very compact. We've all known each other for decades. If we can come together as a group, or hui, as we call it in Hawaii, that hui is then trying to give back through whatever efforts we have that we can afford ourselves. The mayor, sure, let's go talk to the mayor. The governor, sure, let's go talk to the governor. And the industry is just the right size to be able to get those kind of meaningful dialogues going. So it was a very effective team. I'm still connected with all of them, and we're not currently active. But if this war in Iran keeps on, I think we're going to come to the forefront again because everybody needs to be entertained. Everybody needs to enjoy something in life, and the Events Coalition was always geared towards providing that support, not just to industry people, but to the fans as a whole. And hopefully, things will get better very soon.
Yeah.
In your years in the industry, you've seen more than a few changes and evolutions of things. What changes do you think have had the biggest impact on how events are produced today?
tech is constantly changing. Lighting and video and audio, not so much, because, a microphone is a microphone, even though that is the one thing you want to keep working if the lights go out.
Yeah.
Right. But the lighting and the video and the stage support, the changes have been phenomenal. The holographic imagery that they do on stage these days, the interactive cameras that they have and use, all of that has always I love the techie stuff. I'm a nerd at heart. So, when I see innovations like lighting fixtures that are actually video cameras these days, those kind of things excite me. And I like that they give a wow factor to the audience, because it's an appreciation of more than just a live event, but the way that the industry is going to go forward. And then after that, of course, the downside is it drives ticket prices up, right? Because those things are expensive to incorporate. And high ticket prices, particularly in a state that has no interstate commerce to speak of, that becomes prohibitive. It's part of the reason why, not a lot of artists can stop here. They can rent out of LA a week's worth of gear and do 3 or 4 shows. But when they come to Hawaii, they're spending a month worth of rental just to have one concert. So I see why the economics don't necessarily work for everybody.
Yeah. Plus, it seems like generally, and there's certainly exceptions to this, but some shows are just getting heavier. And it's one thing to haul that in a couple extra trucks, from state to state over here. But to your point, that's a big expense when you're all of a sudden, and you're either having to compromise, which people don't always want to do, or you're having to, the costs go up because you're shipping more stuff. And so it seems like that would be certainly a big challenge, and trying to keep things affordable and make sure everyone's happy with everything.
Yeah, well, that's my job. I want to keep everybody as happy as we can, meeting in the middle somewhere.
Yes,
and it's what I do well. So even if I'm not the ultimate promoter on an event, I will be approached to either forensically investigate the last settlement, or take a look at what the needs are and come up with a budget that might work somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you need the knowledge of 40 years to be able to do something like that fairly enough for an artist. In fact, I have a show coming up. We have Beanie, a Filipino pop group, coming in for AEG in a few days. And they travel in the Philippines primarily with something like 12 trucks worth of gear.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the phone with their wonderful production manager, Nate Smith, who's from LA, and trying to help wrangle all of the Filipino expectations to what we can acquire here. Because even though they're on the mainland for a tour, we are still considered a one-off location, right? So they're going to stop here and they're going to severely compromise, because I'm not able to give them 12 trucks worth of stuff. Their set cannot be built here for a reasonable price. And, you have to have someone like a Nate with the act who is willing to help a promoter.
Who understands it. Yes.
Yeah. And you appreciate them, and those become the lifelong friendships, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, Journey, we did Journey when they first started coming back to Honolulu in the early 2000s. And I worked with a gentleman, Rocco Reedy. I had no idea who Rocco was while we were doing Journey, but we just sort of meshed. I mean, I really liked the guy. And then he brought the road crew on to be Journey's opening act. And I thought that was the most bizarre thing ever. I had no idea he was U2's stage manager.
Yeah.
And, you find all these little wonderful gems of people inside the industry that you have no idea where they come from, and yet they are the stars of our side of the industry. And I love meeting them. I love getting they're teachers in their own way. And I adore Rocco from here to there, but I always think of him as a Journey guy.
Barb, we've heard so much about what you do in the industry. Who are you away from the industry? What are you doing when you're not working?
These days, I'm babysitting a 6-month-old and a nearly 3-year-old.
That's a lot of work.
It's,
Also negotiating going on there, I'm sure.
there's negotiation everywhere you look for it in life, but I
That's
enjoy
true.
writing. I do enjoy writing, and I do enjoy my grandchildren. And hopefully, I'm never going to write a book about the industry because I am such a small little, pebble in the Pacific compared to a Pace Concerts from before, or, a Live Nation or an AEG. I'm just grateful that those friendships keep me busy. But I don't know, beyond this, what would make me very happy anymore. I mean, I've done it all for the industry, movie, TVs, all that stuff. And at this stage, I kind of enjoy burping the baby.
Hey, do I see some furry friends walking around in the background too?
I have 3 cats, and a dog is coming into the household soon. So yeah,
Amazing.
we're animal lovers, and I enjoy that. The cats not so much because they shed everywhere, but um, they don't argue with me. They don't ask me for a bump in percentage. They just want to get fed and watered, and they want to sleep on my bed. So
All right, before we wrap things up today and let you get back to everything, yeah, it sounds like a busy day. Let's hit you with our fast five. It's just five quick questions, looking for your short, immediate response.
oh
What was your
god,
very first concert?
Tony Orlando,
Ah, yeah. Do you have a favorite concert?
Arashi, the Japanese concert I did, biggest concert set, stage, budget ever in Hawaii.
What's
Amazing.
your favorite thing to do on a day off?
Sleep.
Yeah, amen. Everybody likes to go to Hawaii on vacation. Where would you like to go on vacation? What's on your bucket list?
Oh, the north of Scotland in the snow.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
Last question. What's your theme song? So we have a show where TV cameras follow Barb all around and see everything that's going on in your life. What's the song that plays over the opening credits of the Barb show?
Oh God. I have never thought of that, but it would definitely be a Japanese song. It would be a song about chaos, that much is for sure.
Hey, I do want to ask you one more question before we wrap things up, and as you look back on everything you've accomplished, and what are you most proud of? What legacy do you hope you've left behind, in the same way that Tom left a legacy for you?
Gosh, I would hope the legacy is that no matter what the pitfalls and the difficulties are, that live events are important in people's lives. And not just from music. I've done stage productions, all kinds of Broadway shows, even little expos. We all need to treat each other with a lot of love, but we also need to feed each other's creative spirits. And
Amen.
anybody going forward that says, I love the chemistry between an act and a fan, that's what I hope will be nurtured forever and promoted forever.
Barbara, if somebody wants to learn more about Aloha Group International, or reach out to you, any plugs you want to throw out here?
The website is thealohagroup.net. You can reach me there. You can take a look at some of the artists that I've worked with there, and get a sense of the kinds of things that I do. Which is everything. But, these days I concentrate on, as I said, more of the consulting and the expertise look at things. But yeah, that would be the best place to look for me. I'm on all of the social media. You can find me from that website. So that's it.
Love it.
Amazing.
Barbara, absolutely fascinating. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us today, and best of luck on all the adventures that lie ahead.
Thank you, and best of luck to you guys. I love you both.
It's been a great one today. Hey, and a big thanks, of course, to all our listeners for listening to this episode of Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We do love your 5-star reviews because it helps other folks find us. Until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. Thanks for listening, everyone. Adventures in Venueland is a side project of the Event and Venue Marketing Conference, a marketing conference that brings together diversified event and venue professionals to cultivate education, collaboration, and innovation for the growing sports and live entertainment industry. Find out more at eventvenuemarketing.com.
Audio editing and mixing by Camille Faulkner.
Design and digital advertising by Megan Ebeck.
Copywriting and publicity by Samantha Marker.
Guest booking and brand strategies by Paul Huber.
Guest research by Dave Rettelberger.
Marketing strategies by Paul Hooper, Megan Ebeck, and Samantha Marker. Thanks for joining us. Until the next adventure.